Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. I have, well, 5 sort of albums to go through for this one, but I'll get to that when I get to the first album of this video. I say we get to that because I don't really have a lot else to talk about, so let's go. We begin with the thing I sort of hinted at in the intro, with the Acacia Strain and their newest albums, which are titled Step Into the Light and Failure Will Follow, but I put them all in one thing because they were released on the same day, last Friday. And there's also like a cover art version because they both have their own cover art, but there is a thing like which exists of both of them put together to make a whole like picture. And I've covered the Acacia Strain before. I think I covered their album Slow Decay, which was my first album by them. I like this one a little bit more. I'm giving this one an A minus. I quite enjoyed quite a bit of this. The Step Into the Light is more of a like traditional sort of deathcore thing with like some really nice hardcore elements. Failure Will Follow includes like some doomy, sludgy stuff that actually works for the band. And my only regret is that the albums were not put together into one thing to mix up the styles. But I didn't hate the styles at all. I thought like the tone was fittingly grim. I think the performances are proper great as well. And yeah, no, I quite liked a lot of these. This is a band that took me a while to come around to because, you know, when I first heard about them, it was in my sort of almost anti-deathcore days, but I don't know, there's quite a lot of this to enjoy. I thought the production was really great. I thought the risks taken were really, really good too. So I can recommend you give this one a spin. It's got, excuse my hair, it's got a lot of really good stuff going for it. So yeah, next we have the Amity Affliction with their new album, Not Without My Ghosts. This is another band I've covered before, also funnily enough back in 2020. And that was with Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them. I like this one a little bit more. I'm only giving it a B though, and I know a lot of people are giving it much more higher rated and rave reviews and things like that. I thought this album had some pretty solid moments. It's still got great lyricism, which has always been one of the band's better sort of like things that they do. One of their better traits. That's the word I was looking for. And there is some good performance as well. I like the heaviness. I think my main problem with it is they're a melodic band. I think it's worth noting, right? They're a more melodically metalcore post-hardcore bands. My main problem might be the bassist and clean vocalist Aaron Stringer. I don't know what it is. Like, I've got nothing against like clean vocals being used in metalcore. In fact, that's how I got into metalcore in the first place, and now the heavy styles I listen to as well. But I don't know. He just sounds bored whenever I hear him sing, and I don't want that. Like the actual like unclean singer and the other one doesn't play brilliant instruments. Joel Birch, he's fucking great. I like his screams. I think the drummer might be my favourite thing about this band. I think his name's Joe Longobardi. The production's really good. I like the structuring. I think it's got a really good pace. I like how they work in the melody. I like most of the performances. I think the songwriting's good and the riffs are heavy. It's just, you know, it feels a bit very by the numbers. It's one of those things where it's like basic, but it just about works. It doesn't work on the level of, say, The Jaws of Life by Pierce the Veil, but I still quite liked most of what I heard, and I do think it's a step above Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them, and a lot of people seem to like this. I don't know. This is a band that I didn't really get along. This is a band that I really didn't get around to until, like, again, sort of fairly late into their career, so maybe it might take a couple more spins of this one, I'm not really sure. I've listened to it a couple of times. I do remember liking most of what I heard, so, you know, give it a spin for yourself at least. It is the lowest grade in the episode as well, so there's that. Next we have a band I'm pretty sure, like, this is like the main band from last weekend, or the main big release from last weekend in terms of music I listened to anyway. Sleep Token with their new album Take Me Back to Eden, the closing of a trilogy of a very unique band who all we know about them is that they're from England, and this album, well, that's about it, but this album gets an A, the highest grade of the episode. I really enjoyed this one. It's the longest album of this list. It's 1 hour, 3 minutes and change. Yeah, it's a very unique album. It's got like a post-proggy metal djenty vibe with elements of R&B and indie pop. And it works for them. I don't know what it is. Like, last weekend was a good weekend for bands trying new shit that mostly stuck to the wall. You know, the Acacia Strain did a great job with it. Sleep Token do an amazing job with it here. I like the lyricism not being about the typical things. I like focusing on themes like mental health and love and stuff like that. The performance is really great as well, especially from the lead singer whose name is Vessel, I believe, because the other band members just go by like Roman numerals. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. We know nothing about them. Although the masks they wear look really fucking cool. I like the production. It's really goddamn good. I don't know who produced it, but I think it's someone I've heard of before. I will flash it on screen if I can find it, which I'll be able to because, you know, the album is on Wikipedia. Like, it has its own Wikipedia page, so that's good. Yeah, I quite liked a fair lot of this. For a band that I wasn't really sure on at first, I'd heard a couple of songs by them. This album does have one thing going against it, though, which is the fact that there's 12 songs on it, and the band released about 6 of those as promotional singles. Like, don't. Little note, doesn't matter how big you are, how popular you are, don't release half your album before the album comes out. That can give a bit too much away. Although, it works for this one, so yeah, give it a go yourself. Next, to continue the recurring theme of bands I should have gotten around to sooner, we have Unearth with their newest album, The Wretched, The Ruinous. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This is the album I listened back to the most from last weekend, and while not all of it held up initially when I first heard it, it's still got a lot of really good shit going for it. I'm giving it a B+. I think it's a very strong... It's the most, hardcore punk-leaning metalcore album of the past weekend. I quite liked a lot of the... I quite liked a lot of what it displayed. It's got some really good heaviness. It's got some really good, optimism to its tone as well. I think the lyrics have, they have a really strong sort of vibe to them. I like the themes of standing up for yourself, and that's always relevant in the more punk-leaning metal, which is why I like While She Sleeps so much. The production's really good too. Fucking hair. The structuring's also really good. I think it can be a little bit repetitive at times, but it does squeeze in quite a lot. I love the guitar work on this album. Performances are great too. I can't really think of a lot wrong with it. I do think it might be maybe a little bit repetitive at times, but you know what? For a band that's been around as long as they have, and considering this was their first album in, I think, 5 years, this is some really goddamn good shit, so give it a go. And finally, to close it off, and continuing the theme of bands I should have got around to sooner, we have Veil of Maya with their first album in 6 years, Mother. This is my first Veil of Maya album. These are a band I'd heard about before, but never got around to. I'm also even giving this one a B+. It's a little bit sort of more, I guess you could say, basic than Unearth's new one, but it's still got a lot of good stuff going for it. For example, it's much heavier than Unearth's, I will give it that. It's got a lot of djenty and complex stuff in the guitar riffs, which work really well for it. I like the performances quite a lot. The lyrics are a little bit... I think they're my least favourite element of the album. They're a little bit repetitive at times. A little bit too grim in tone, whereas, I know, the Acacia Strain had that same thing, but they were able of telling stories with it. There's less of that going on for Veil of Maya's one. It's just got a very weird turn to it. But the performance is great. The production's really, really good too. I think it was self-produced. No, it wasn't self-produced. It might. Again, I'll flash it on screen. This was some really good stuff for the most part. I like the heaviness to it. The instrumentation was really good too. I like how the guitarist made the structuring quite unique as well. Very, very fun. Not the most unique album of the last week, and that's still Sleep Tokens one, but again, a lot of this worked more than it didn't work, and I quite liked a lot of the stuff that did work, so another one I think is worth giving a go. And that will about do it for this one. My album order from least favourite to most favourite would be The Amity Affliction with Not Without My Ghosts, Veil of Maya with Mother, Unearth with The Wretched, The Ruinous, The Acacia Strain with Step Into the Light, Failure Will Follow. They're both albums that won. They're both, the same grade, and Sleep Token with Take Me Back to Eden. But as always, give all of these at least one go yourself. The next thing I will see you for tomorrow night, the return show of PBW vs ABW. I've got a lot of work to do to get arenas made, but I do have logos and shit now, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And the next thing after that, well, hopefully, because my friend Fen is free from work this week, hopefully the start of the Battle Block Theatre Let's Play. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll see you all over the weekend for stuff. Yeah, that's all I can promise as always. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye.